G'day YouTube, welcome back to my channel Bonsai Works. I am David. Today I've got my final pine that I want to decandle. Now it's my biggest pine, it's the Radiata Pine. They usually see on my channel quite over the years. This tree, if you remember earlier in the season, I had an accident with this tree where it fell off its podium and broke its pot, and I repotted it into this new pot, half the depth as well. So the previous pot was quite deep. It's gone half that depth, and the tree has powered on very vigorously. Now with this Radiata Pine, over the years, what I've done is I haven't repotted it for a very long time, and what happened was the candles got smaller and smaller and smaller. Now that I repotted it, fresh mix, new, clean, cut the roots, and brand new soil. It doesn't matter how big the pot is, it's half the thickness. Look how much explosion the Radiata did. Now I have fed the tree, nothing out of the ordinary, pretty much like every year, but the actual repotting of the Radiata into new soil helped it become extremely vigorous, probably too vigorous. I've lost all the small needles on this tree and the small candles. It's gone exploding, and now it's a real big, very big Christmassy kind of tree now. Oh well, it is what it is. I got to get into it now and start to decandle it, and clean up all the old needles and really get it back to try and get multiple buds, multiple flush in autumn. So currently it's December here in Melbourne. December is hot. It's summer here in the Southern Hemisphere. So it's perfect time to do this decandling work on multi-flush pines. Multi-flush pines are pines that produce more than one flush of candles in a growing season, and this is what the Radiata does here in Melbourne. Other people say probably doesn't create a second flush, but I definitely get a second flush on these Radiata pines. The other thing is I'm going to need to actually look at how the wiring is on this tree. With this explosive growth, there's probably going to be wire cutting in. So another task to do. So lots of tasks to do on this tree, but really all I'm going to do is cut the candles off and needle pluck for now and have a look at the wire if it's cutting in, and we'll have a look as the tree gets a haircut, which will be quite extensive. Now with this tree, I'm always going to start at the top and work my way down. I'm going to have to get some sort of chair to stand on to reach the top. It is what it is, but I've got to get into it now and get the work done. So let's see how the transformation goes. Quite a lot of foliage has been removed, and it's all brand new candles. Nothing that's too old in terms of the needles, but lots and lots of heavy work is gone. You saw how lush and big it was. Now you can see the branch structure again, and these are all whatever's left is the previous year's needles on the tree. Now I probably have missed some new candles, which I'll go through now and start to remove. But my next phase is again go through the whole tree and clean up any areas that have too many needles, to balance out the needles, clean up dead needles, all that kind of stuff. Now when there's an area with lots of needles, I usually pluck anything that's underneath first, needle wise, and then keep going through the tree. Now I have noticed wires cutting in, so I'll be taking wire off. Also, if I need to rewire a branch, I'll be rewiring. So there's a whole process now involved in getting this tree looking good again for the next flush of candles. Now, I'm a big advocate of you only need to work on pines twice a year. This is the first time, and next time is in autumn when you get the next flush. So all this work can be done in only twice. So that's how easy I think pines are. There's a lot of work in one go, but then after that, you just sit back and watch them do their thing. So you can wire, clean the needles, decandle, all this kind of stuff right now. You can do that again, or not decandle, but you can do bud selection in autumn and clean up needles, wire, etc. So on, so on. So twice a year you can do this, which is awesome. Saves you from having to worry too much about maintaining black pines where you don't have to need to too much when, you know, really working on them twice a year. So I'm just going to go again, start working again, clean up all old needles. So this time around, I don't start at the top. I'll start at the bottom and work my way up. Now I do have a towel there blocking all the needles, just because if I have to, I really need to work on the pads, need to take all the wire off and so on. And then at the end, I really just give it a good hose with the hose just to knock off all the needles, if there's needles on the branches, anywhere, loose needles, etc. So after a pretty mammoth effort, I have been able to needle pluck the whole tree. Obviously, you can see the haircut it's had. All the new candles have been cut off. Then it had a needle pluck. It's still quite messy. And then I removed pretty much all the wire on the tree, which took me ages. So I've probably spent already 10 hours at least on this tree. However, I still need to do more work on it. But just thought I'd give you a quick view of how it's looking. It looks nice and thinned out now. It's still a monster tree for me anyway. So you can see that. Now you can see probably the issue is a lot of these branches are just not in the right place. I will have to wire, but also what I'm going to do is also I might have to start cutting back a little bit in the top. Some of these branches are too long now. This branch, for example, is a little further out than this branch. So things like that, I'm going to need to really work my way up the tree. That's a lot of more hours. So just thought I'd show you this first before I do that work. But already massive haircut, looking good. The tree's looking a lot better. And I think it's just a necessity to do this work. I don't normally needle pluck at this time of year. I usually do it in autumn. However, I think this tree needed it because it had such a massive explosion of growth with the candles this spring. So I decided to needle pluck and try and balance out a lot of that energy. Now I can go in more and do some more refined work. I'm not going to wire out all the little buds. I'm just going to wire the main branches just to flatten the pads and let the candles or let the needles just point upwards all along the tree. So I think that's one thing where I'm probably over wired last time, all the little ones, etc. I think I'm going to avoid that now. I'm just going to do the main one. As long as the main one's in the right place and they're pushed up nicely, then I should be okay. Just needs more wire, and we'll see how it looks after I'm done. So here's where I ended up leaving it alone. Predominantly wired the low branches, mainly the lower ones in here, and I put a bit of guy wiring in here. Pretty much left the top undisturbed, apart from trimming back. I cut out a lot of the heavy stuff in the top, trying to keep it under control. There's a lot of thicker branches in there, some thicker branches in here. Hardly notice it, but most of the pads are okay. I think it's just because it's radiata, it looks very hairy. You know, lots of long needles here and there and so on. Just going to let the tree now grow over the summer and into autumn, and then see how it progresses. But from what it was before, it was a real big bush. Now it actually looks like an old tree. Really nicely positioned tree. It's actually quite big. It's a good, I don't know however tall I'm, 6 foot, so probably 1.2 I'd say meters high probably. But yeah, really happy with it. Much happier now. It just takes a lot of work, this tree. So bigger trees you have, the more work you got to put into it, obviously. Doing little bits each time is really good. Don't let it go too long without wiring it and so on. So I'll keep looking at this tree, maybe wire bits here and there as I see fit. Yeah, I want it now to flush out with its new buds for autumn, and then hopefully that'll be it. That's it for me now, and hope you enjoyed the video on Radiata Pine. Radiata is also probably known as Monterey Pine in the northern hemisphere. But yeah, it's a good species to use. A bit hairy, a bit long needles, but look, it's quite a nice tree to use. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.